Everything depends on how we look at things, not on how they are themselves. Carl Jung, there's a strange silence that lives inside every addiction. It's not the noise of the habit itself, not the bottles, the scrolling, the endless reaching, but the quiet that comes right after. That moment when the thing that promised comfort leaves you emptier than before. And in that silence, a whisper often rises, "What's wrong with me?" But what if the truth is, nothing's wrong with you? What if the thing you've been fighting isn't the addiction at all, but the wound underneath it? Carl Jung once said that every addiction is a misguided search for connection with the divine, a thirst for meaning disguised as craving. But that truth was lost in time, buried under clinical terms and moral shame. What Jung meant was far more human, far more heartbreaking. We don't become addicted to substances, we become addicted to escape, to forgetting, to relief. You might be listening to this right now with a heaviness you can't name. Maybe you've tried to stop not just the habit, but the patterns that keep replaying in your life. The same arguments, the same loneliness, the same feeling that you're chasing something that keeps slipping through your fingers. And you wonder why. You wonder how it always ends here. This right here is where Jung's lost message comes alive. Because he didn't see addiction as a flaw in your willpower. He saw it as a sacred message from the parts of you that you've abandoned. The ones that learned to cope by numbing pain instead of healing it. The ones that just wanted to feel safe. So in this video, we'll go deep, not into psychology as you've heard it, but into the soul of addiction, into the quiet spaces where your shadow hides, into the truth Jung tried to tell humanity before the world was ready to listen. And if you've ever felt alone in this, in your overthinking, your guilt, your endless loops, I promise you're not. Stay with me until the end. Let's walk through the darkness together and find what's been calling your name all along. And if this message already stirs something inside you, take a breath and hit that subscribe button. Not because algorithms need it, but because maybe, just maybe, your healing begins with choosing to stay. Stay curious, stay open, stay here. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize the thing they've been fighting isn't the enemy, it's the messenger. Addiction is like that. It begins as a whisper, a quiet relief from the chaos inside. You take a sip, make a purchase, open your phone, text the person who hurts you. It feels small, almost harmless. But underneath, something ancient moves a wound that's been asking to be seen. Jung believed that the things which destroy us are often the same things trying to save us. Paradoxical, isn't it? The drink that numbs you, also trying to soothe you. The scrolling that isolates you, also trying to distract you from pain too heavy to face. Every destructive habit begins as an attempt to love yourself in the only way you know how. That's the lost message. Not sin, not weakness, but a misguided attempt at tenderness. You see, most people think addiction is about the substance, the alcohol, the phone, the person. But what if it's about the moment before, the ache before you reach for it? That trembling silence that asks, what if no one comes for me? That's where it begins. That's the true hunger. Maybe you've felt it, that quiet panic that rises at night, the one that doesn't need words. You can be surrounded by people, yet feel completely unseen. And so, you find something to fill the emptiness. Something that doesn't judge. Something that listens even if it's slowly taking more than it gives. Jung once wrote that people don't heal by becoming good, but by becoming whole. And maybe that's the secret no one told you. You can't shame your way out of addiction. You can only love your way through it. The wound doesn't need punishment, it needs presence. It needs someone, maybe you, to finally stop running and listen. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that part of you, the one that keeps reaching, craving, hiding. What would happen if, instead of trying to destroy it, you asked it what it's been protecting you from? The truth might break you open, but it will also set you free. Because at the heart of addiction is a lost child. Not weak, not broken, just waiting for someone to come back and hold them. And maybe that someone has always been you. Breathe. You're still here. You haven't failed. You've just been looking for God in all the wrong places. There's something haunting about the moment you realize your addiction has a voice, and it sounds like someone you used to be. It's the echo of a younger you, standing in the shadows, whispering, "Please don't leave me again." And every time you reach for the thing that numbs you, it isn't about pleasure. It's about reunion. You're just trying to return to the version of yourself that never got to feel safe enough to stop running. That's what Jung meant when he spoke of the shadow, not a dark, evil force, but the parts of you you've disowned, the rage you weren't allowed to express, the grief you were told to swallow, the fear that made you feel unworthy of love. You buried them, thinking they'd stay silent. But the shadow always finds a way to speak, and sometimes it speaks through addiction. People rarely understand this. Society tells you to quit, to control yourself, to be stronger. But the truth is, most people don't heal because they're too busy trying to be perfect. You can't heal while you're hiding. You can't grow while pretending you don't hurt. The addiction becomes the bridge, a broken one, yes, but still a bridge between your conscious self and your pain. Think about it. Every time you fall into that loop, there's a moment of honesty, a moment where your defenses drop. The truth slips through. I'm lonely. I'm scared. I feel invisible. That's the soul speaking. The problem isn't that you're weak. It's that you were never taught how to hold that truth without collapsing under it. Jung believed that our addictions point directly toward what we most need to confront. If you drink to escape, what you're escaping from holds the medicine. If you chase people who can't love you, your heartbreak is showing you where your worth was stolen. If you bury yourself in work, the silence you avoid is where your soul waits for you. So pause for a second. Let yourself feel that ache instead of fixing it. You don't need to analyze it. You don't even need to name it. Just breathe into it. It's been waiting for your attention longer than you know. And in that moment, something powerful begins: awareness. Awareness isn't healing yet, but it's the first time the wound stops being alone. The truth about addiction isn't that it destroys your life. It's that it reveals the parts of you that were already dying from neglect. It's a cry for reunion between who you are and who you were before the world taught you to hide. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you finally stop running. At first, it feels terrifying, like standing in front of a mirror that's been covered for years. You don't want to look because you already know what's behind it. The tired eyes, the quiet disappointment, the fragments of promises you made to yourself and couldn't keep. But when you finally dare to see, something shifts. The monster you feared becomes a child, the craving becomes a call home. Jung once wrote that people don't find enlightenment by imagining light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's where healing begins, not in the denial of pain, but in the honest embrace of it. The mind can lie, the body never does. The tremor in your hands, the tightening in your chest, the way your breath changes when you think about what you've lost that's your body remembering. It carries what your words never could. And maybe that's why so many people stay trapped, because remembering feels like dying. The ego doesn't want to die. It wants control. It wants certainty. So it tells you that you're fine, that you're just stressed, that you'll stop tomorrow. But your soul knows better. It whispers in your sleepless nights, in the way joy feels foreign, in the way silence feels unbearable. It keeps asking, when will you finally listen? The truth is, addiction doesn't disappear when you stop the behavior. It dissolves when you no longer need it to survive. That's a quieter kind of recovery, not dramatic, not loud. It's when you stop fighting yourself, when you stop punishing the wound for existing. You realize that healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to hide. And sometimes it's not even about understanding, it's about feeling. You sit with your sadness without fixing it. You let grief wash over you without drowning. You tell yourself, it's okay, I'm still here. That's what your addiction was trying to do all along, to soothe, to silence, to give you space to survive. It was never the villain. It was a misunderstood protector, doing its best with the little it knew. So, when you feel the urge rise again to drink, to text, to scroll, to escape, pause. Place a hand over your heart and say softly, I know why you're here. The moment you meet your craving with compassion instead of contempt, it begins to lose its power, because the wound only screams when it's not being heard. There's a part of you that's been waiting for this exact moment, the one where you finally stop seeing yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as becoming. That's what Jung meant when he said that the gold is in the dark. Every wound, every compulsion, every painful pattern holds within it a piece of your wholeness. Addiction isn't a curse. It's a distorted form of longing, the longing to return to yourself. You might not realize it, but the very thing that has brought you to your knees, the habit, the heartbreak, the endless repetition, is also your initiation. The soul has a strange way of teaching. It doesn't care about comfort, it cares about truth. And the truth always demands surrender. So much of what you call addiction is actually resistance, the refusal to feel the full depth of your grief, your loneliness, your rage. But when you allow it, when you stop numbing it, something unexpected happens. It doesn't destroy you, it releases you. You realize the pain was never the enemy, the running was. There's an old story, Jung used to tell it in different ways, about the one who travels far and wide searching for treasure, only to find it buried beneath their own home. That's the journey of healing. We go through relationships, substances, obsessions, self-improvement, even spirituality, all to escape the same ache that waits quietly inside. But when we finally turn inward, when we finally kneel in the ruins and listen, we find the gold was never lost. It was just waiting for our return. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle warmth beneath your pain, the part of you that still hopes, still believes, still wants to live differently. That's not weakness. That's your divine spark. It's the whisper beneath the chaos saying, "I'm still here." That's the truth about healing. It's not about erasing your past. It's about reclaiming your power from it. When Jung said, "What you resist persists," he wasn't warning you, he was inviting you. Inviting you to stop fighting what hurts and instead let it teach you. Because the moment you bring love to the thing you fear most, the war inside you ends. And for the first time, you can rest, you can breathe, you can live without running from yourself. So take a slow breath now. Feel the air move through you. That's life choosing you again. You don't have to earn it, you just have to say yes. There's a sacred silence that comes when the storm inside you begins to settle. It's not peace yet, not fully, but it's the first time you can hear yourself without the noise. And in that silence, something begins to speak. Not the addiction, not the fear, but the part of you that remembers what it means to be whole. Jung said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And isn't that the truth? We build entire lives around distractions, work, relationships, habits, identities, just to keep from feeling the weight of our own emptiness. But eventually, the distractions collapse. The bottle breaks, the relationship ends, the phone battery dies, and you're left alone with the one person you've been avoiding, yourself. That's where the real journey begins. At first, it feels unbearable to sit with the echoes of your past, to face the memories you tried to erase. But slowly, the silence softens. You begin to notice that underneath all the pain, there's still something tender, something alive, the part of you that wants to heal, the part that's been whispering all along, you don't need to run anymore. That's the paradox of addiction. It's not about craving pleasure, it's about craving presence. You weren't seeking a high, you were seeking home. And when Jung spoke about the soul's thirst for meaning, this is what he meant, that every form of suffering, when faced with honesty, becomes a door back to yourself. You start to see the pattern. The times you reached for distraction were the times you couldn't bear to feel alone. But loneliness isn't emptiness, it's space. Space for truth, space for your soul to breathe. When you stop filling it with noise, it starts to speak. It says, "I miss you." And when you finally answer, when you say, "I'm here," that's when the healing begins to hum quietly beneath your skin. It's not dramatic, it's gentle, like sunlight through clouds, like forgiveness whispered in your own voice. That's Jung's forgotten message to humanity. that every shadow hides a seed of light, and that no addiction, no trauma, no darkness can take away your right to come home to yourself. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real. Take a breath. Let it be shaky. Let it be human. You've survived every moment that tried to break you, which means something in you has always been stronger than the pain. Maybe that's what Jung wanted us to remember, that the point of pain isn't to punish, but to awaken. The soul uses suffering the way fire uses wood, not to destroy, but to transform. And sometimes it has to burn everything you thought you were, so you can finally see what's left when all the illusions are gone. There's a quiet power in realizing that you don't need to fight anymore. You don't need to fix yourself, prove yourself, or even fully understand yourself. You only need to meet yourself honestly, gently, completely. Because addiction at its core is not a battle against darkness. It's a search for love in a place that forgot how to give it. And when you finally look into your own eyes and say, "I forgive you," something ancient exhales. The child who carried shame learns that they were never the problem. The adult who wore masks learns that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's truth. And slowly, the walls begin to crumble. You start to feel again not the chaos of craving, but the subtle rhythm of being alive. Healing, Jung would say, isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you already are, the one who existed before the world told you how to be. Beneath every addiction lies an unspoken longing to return to that innocence, that authenticity, that home inside yourself. And you can, not by force, not by perfection, but by presence. By choosing in this moment to stay with yourself even when it hurts. It won't happen overnight. The mind will still reach for escape. The body will still remember old patterns. But each time you stay, even for a breath longer than before, you build trust. Trust with yourself, trust with life, trust with something greater. Call it grace, call it God, call it the quiet knowing that you were never truly lost. And in time, that trust becomes your new addiction, not to escape, but to truth. You start craving peace more than chaos, stillness more than noise, connection more than control. That's when you know the healing has rooted itself, when the silence no longer terrifies you, but embraces you. Jung's lost message to humanity wasn't about theory or diagnosis. It was an invitation to stop searching for salvation in things that numb you and start finding it in the courage to feel. Because feeling is how the soul speaks, and listening is how you come home. Breathe. You made it here. And maybe, just maybe, this is the beginning of the life you were always meant to live.